Yo, hello, YouTubers. Hi, I'm Skippopotamus, a roving reporter here at Chicken Little News. we're coming to you live today. I'm alive, and then the kinfolk and myself, we do not experience the second death. Okay, so this whole thing about you only live once, YOLO. Well, you only live twice, right? So you got you're alive right now, and then your carcass will give out, and then you'll live and get a new heavenly body and all this. Rule and reign with Christ in the new earth type of deal. Oh man. So you only live twice. YOLT. And then I thought about LT. And I was like, Lieutenant Dan, for Forrest Gump and all that. And then I thought about how Lieutenant Dan rebuked the storm. And he's like, you'll never sink this boat. And all this. And there's a recognition that he made peace with God. He also rebuked the storm and saved the boat. And it was an extreme position. And it was just a movie. But there's a lot of funny stuff and quotes that came from that movie. Because it's a very, it's a cinematic masterpiece. I don't know that it's entirely good or bad. It is what it is, for sure. We'll use it as an illustration and parable, kind of like Jesus used to do, right? So, update, report part, I got 64 copies of one, and I got a handful of about 4 different ministry booklets, some testimony books, trucker testimonies, and then they came out with a new trucker testimonies. So I got that. I got some Spanish Bibles and some Spanish testimonies, and I can't see what else is in the box. Anyway, so I ran my shift yesterday. I had a meeting with some elders, tried to do some comms. I'll check later today. Looked all around, right? And then my buddy, I got an elder Cherokee guy, and he's kind of on my family plan. I make sure that he's got communications via, having a phone on my family plan, right? Well, he's a good friend of mine and everything like that. We're supposed to take care of our elders, right? So the funny part is, and why I'm saying this, is because I looked at 4 states, I got online, I did this, I did that, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, this guy calls me. He's like, how's it going, blah, blah. I'm like, what's up, blah, blah. And then I mentioned this thing about how I was wanting to assemble a radio repeater in a backpack. And some secondaries, and maybe establish the ability to, make it cool. You know what I mean? If you got $4,800 for the bumper on your Peterbilt, you can probably spend $3,000 to talk on an AM radio to your wife when the cell phones go down, right? So far every truck driver I've talked to complains that, CB radio, insert cussing, is not working out like it used to, because people are stupid. And Citizen Band Radio has a lot of weirdness. It's disgusting. And they're disgusted, so they quit buying radios. So the truck stops don't have a lot of communications like they used to have. And that's why they got rid of the Dukes of Hazzard on TV. You can't get the Dukes of Hazzard because it showed them outsmarting the police and used a CB radio to do it. It is very handy. Very handy. Very handy. So if we can get a repeater and a base station at the house, and then the ability to talk out here with a repeater. Hey, dude, if you just got 1 out of every 100 trucks. If there's 100,000 trucks, that would be 1,000 repeaters circling the nation. You know what I mean? And there's got to be a marketing for that. And then, like, you know, if the parts and everything is $1,000, and there's, you know, charging. If I hear ham radio and repeater for $2,000, I'm like, give me two. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not even a big fancy guy running the show. You know what I mean? There are big fancy guys that do run the show. And then there's the trucking company where it's like, hey, do you have a base station? And if the cell phones went down, wouldn't it be nice if you could call your truck and say, come home, BR549. Yeah, BR549, we know that you cannot speak because you don't have a license to speak on the air. Come home. BR549, come home. You see what I'm saying? They just call back all your equipment. Like if I'm running a company, right, and I can call back all my equipment because in my truck I installed a ham radio repeater device. You know what I'm saying? And then in orientation, it's like, if the cell phone goes down and you cannot communicate, go to this frequency, park at the top of the hill, wait for further instructions. We will broadcast at 200, like 2:15 every morning, or whatever. You know what I mean? So like, you know, it's 2:15 in the morning. You know, poo has hit the disbursement, and I have, per company policy, I have parked at the top of the hill, wherever USA, and I'm waiting to hear from dispatch at 2 o'clock in the morning. So number one, my guy is awake at 2 o'clock in the morning, making sure my equipment's not getting robbed, burnt, whatever. And then, like, the truck itself is a repeater. There's an amazing capability in that. And are people already doing that? I mean, like, I can't be the only guy that thinks of this stuff. But there's no way. Like, I assume, you know, certain things about the government, oh, well, they've thought of this or they thought of that. And then I've had interactions with the government, and I'm like, oh, wow, they really don't do stuff. And like everything they do is messed up. So anyway, I posted some stuff on this deal, and I was pointing out the fact that, you know, the government, that's kind of like the away team. You know what I mean? It's like, go over there, you know, turn it into lava, and then we don't have to fight here. And then when it goes bad here, because like the earth, for some reason the earth attacks us. You know what I mean? So, you know, volcanoes, tornadoes, hurricanes, and such. And what ends up happening is the people here is the home team, right? And if you think about that, when you're getting mad at FEMA and all this other kind of stuff, now the confiscations or whatever like that's a thing. And then, like, you don't want the family seeing the horrific, you know, freaking, you know, dead bodies in trees and stuff. You know what I mean? And then you got the bad actors, the looters, whatever like that, where, you know, I mean, there should be some policy change, like, you know, you loot, we shoot, should be a common thing. And then we should, like, have 5th grade firearm safety class where everybody in the country understands, you know, okay, this is a gun and this is how it operates. Here we got a semi, here we got a revolver, here we got a breakover, here we got lever action, here we got a pump shotgun, you know what I mean? And this does this for that. Explain, you know, the rounds, you know, we got birdshot, buckshot, hollow points, full steel, you know, and, you know, brass versus steel, stuff like that, right? That should be like a basic elective in the 9th grade. You know, it's like wood shop, auto mechanics, guns, you know, guns and explosives. You know what I mean? They just train everybody That way, yeah, because if everybody knows that stuff, then we're a more capable society. Now, these people going to do bad stuff? Yeah. Now, are they going to know how to do bad stuff? They already do. You know what I mean? So that argument with me is a non-starter because, like, fireworks. You know what I'm saying? How many times did you show ID to buy fireworks? Like, ever. You see what I'm saying? And then, like, a fireworks stand. Have you ever seen one that's got the security beyond a chain link fence and a padlock? Because I have not. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, when I was 15 years old, we would go to there was a thing at the end of Slaughterhouse Road. There was a radio tower, and GRDA, the Grand River Dam Authority, they had these repeaters on the top of the tower. And it was a communications tower, so they had line of sight, and it was the highest point over by Pegs. I forget the number of the road. It's all numbered now, but it's called Slaughterhouse Road because there used to be a slaughterhouse there. Like, the slaughterhouse was here and a little ways down. That guy, he would do alignment on your car, like straight down your front end and all that. So that road was right way alignment road. You know what I mean? So you'd talk to somebody, and anyway, caveat of a caveat, on right way alignment road, there was a guy named Hank, and him and his old lady had problems with drugs. Well, a little ways down the road was some friends of mine, and across the street was a guy that would take kids to church. And I had assumptions, you know me, I just jump in both feet. I don't actually, listen to anybody. So, it's a blessing and a curse. It makes for uniqueness. So, church fan broke down. I said, hey, I'll take these kids to church or whatever. So not only did I go pick up the church kids, but I also picked up the other kids that was around there. And I'm in like a 95 navy blue Chevrolet 3500 dually with a 454 5-speed that would literally pull a wheelie, right? So I'm just like pulling up to this place or whatever, and all these kids get in there. So I got kids all here, the whole back seat's full of kids or whatever. And I think I'll go to church, and I go into Pegs, and we go to the mini bar. And at the mini bar, you can get something to drink for $1, and a pancake was 50 cents. So I take like 13 kids from probably 5 to 12. Take these kids. These are little. I mean, they're country kids, rowdy and mouthy, and a lot to handle. It's a lot to deal with. Anyway, so I'm not thinking, and I'm just like, you kids want to eat? Yeah. So we drive into town, 15, 20 minutes, get to town, and I feed them a pancake, and they all get a Pepsi, right? And they're just, butter and syrup and everything like that, and I pay the bill or whatever, which ain't hardly nothing. And I go down to the Assembly of God Church or whatever it was, and I take these kids in there, and, we have church or whatever, and this goes on week after week. Well, the second week, there's an announcement, right? And they're like, and perhaps whoever's bringing these kids could skip the syrup and the soda pop before the kids get here. So I'm juicing these kids up. I didn't think twice about it, you know what I mean? It didn't cross my mind that I just hit these kids with, 75 grams of sugar and turned them loose on the Sunday school, right? Okay, so they get the church bus fixed or whatever like that. Time goes by, like 4 years. And one day, me and Harold's out there talking. He was the church man guy. And so I'm out there and I'm talking with him and everything, blah, blah, this and that. And he says, yeah, they're doing the addition or something like that. I was like, oh, wow, I had not noticed that. And then he said, well, yeah, you can see it. It's all over the road, right there when you turn by the stoplight. And I'm like, stoplight? I was like, Pigs ain't got no stoplight. He said, well, no, the church is in Locust Grove. I was taking the kids to the wrong church. I didn't even know. So I had the church kids. I was taking them to the wrong church. And then on top of that, dang, I'm missing the scale house right now. And then on top of that, not only did I pick up the kids, but also the wrong kids, and then I proceeded to go to the wrong church with the kids juiced up and sugared up and everything like that. And so when I told Harold or whatever, it was a big laugh. And sorry, I messed up my story because I was doing everything to get over. And the way station's closed, so I didn't have to do that at all. But it is 55 through here, so anyway. So right-way alignment road was on Slaughterhouse Road, and at the end of that road was the top of the hill for the radio repeater. Now, interesting fact, just beyond that, there is caves in gigantic hollows, and there's creeks, and yeah, you can go there and live there like a Sasquatch until you become a groomer, as if you're an actual Sasquatch. Like, I don't think you'll get blurry if they take your picture, don't get me wrong, but like, for real, at the end of Slaughterhouse
Welcome
Road,
to Indiana.
get out of your truck and start walking, and if you're, a capable woodsman, you can live the rest of your days and never leave those woods, and nobody knows you're there. For real. Like, you literally can't do that. I can neither confirm nor deny sightings of said caveman, or living out and occasionally being said caveman. For real. And yeah, anyway, I can tell stories about that and about the improvised seers. We'll just leave it there. But I definitely have lived that out. So, anyway, completely forgot where I was going with this. But I made it through at the right speed without, crashing the vehicle. So that's very good. Very, very good. So reasonable service. You only live twice. Run, Forrest! You ain't got no legs. You'll never sink this boat. You only live twice. Then it's like something about the tribe of Dan that like made the Danube River, like he left his mark everywhere. Dan. And like, the reason Dan messed up is because he did it his own way. Okay? Big C Christian Church, anybody? Big C? Is that Dan? And then like, how much power do they have? You ain't got no legs. You ain't got no legs. I mean, whoever, dude, when that Bible, I used to wonder because it said something about doctrines of demons, and I was worried because I was like, I don't want to believe the doctrine of a demon and get all tricked, right? And that's a serious concern for me. So I'm like, doctrines of demons, what is that? And then I seen some kind of, offshoot of a Catholic church where they were, they were dressed in drag, and that guy was using the transfiguration of how Jesus lit up like Louis the Lightning Bug, and Moses and Elijah was there with him, and this dude twisted it up to being transitioning from a boy to a girl to a boy type of thing, and basically turning yourself into Baphomet and saying all that behind the pulpit. I was like, that's the doctrine of a demon right there. You know what I mean? So like, they might have some subtle ones I haven't figured out yet. I seriously doubt I've dodged every bullet on this deal. So read it for yourself and come to your own conclusions. But at a bare minimum, do not fall for that shit twice. Okay? So anyway. Reasonable service to the king might be driving the speed limit. It might be. I just posted some stuff and I wrote some stuff and And I wanted to make this video or whatever, because I'm not thunder thumbs driving enough to convey what I'm saying, and like even saying it, I'll forget where I was at with the fourth removed caveat. But it's pretty entertaining, and like you guys are on a road trip with me, right? Like, I just assume somebody's watching this. You know what I mean? And somehow that makes talking to myself not crazy. You know what I mean? But when this camera goes off, I will continue talking like this to God. Like, I just visualize Jesus is right here beside me. You know what I mean? I'm like, how's it hanging? I shouldn't have said that one. That was too much. That was too much. I do feel like the Holy Ghost laughed when I said that. Anyway. I love God, man. Well, I love God and man. I love God, and I really don't want anybody to go to hell. I really believe that this is plan A, and that your suffering is what leads up to your repentance. I think it's pretty obvious that the creator of all includes like angels, and he knew everything front to back. So I was talking to a guy yesterday, and I said, well, if you watch a movie 6 times, and then I come over and you're like, hey, this movie's cool, and then we're sitting on the couch watching the movie or whatever like that, and you're like, oh, hey, check out this part. Yeah, watch this real close right here. You know what I mean? Well, you've seen the movie before. So, God, knowing beginning to end, the movie starts, plays out, it's over. And you repeat that 5 times. Well, it seemed like a decent parable or whatever. And then when you think about it, if you actually read the Bible, how much is before the beginning? How much is before the beginning? God in his eternity. You know what I'm saying? And then we'll see stuff where like Abraham was about to slay Isaac, and the angel of the Lord stayed his hand. It's like, now I know. Okay. Well, if that played out and he watched the movie 4 times before that, and then for Abraham and Isaac, that's the first time. But God's seen it play out or whatever. So the first time God said, hey, now I know. And now we're on episode 57. Some kind of cosmic repeat. You know what I mean? Which, I'm really connecting some dots and making some leaps here. But that's how I conceptualize, how can I have free will and then God already know what I'm going to choose? Like, where is that happening? Like, where's this at? In this alpha and omega, beginning and end, versus here I am in present time, traveling through space on Earth at 58 miles an hour, heavy traffic in construction, talking to myself with a device looking at me. It moves constantly. If I get away from this truck for 3 days, my nose blinds out. It's like, you will suffer in service of the King. You're reasonable. Oh, that's what it was, reasonable service. Okay, so you get back to this deal and you look at the laws and stuff and what they were doing and how they would, if the servant, like he sold himself into slavery for some kind of debt or whatever, when it was done, if they wanted to stay, they'd like, give them a fancy earring or whatever. They'd punch out their earring with an awl, I guess is what it is. And forgive my ignorance, okay? Please forgive my ignorance, because some other people are also ignorant. So if I'm dumb, but I'm still trying and I'm figuring some stuff out, I'm not quite right, but I don't give up. that's kind of an example and recipe for my neighbor. So, you know, let God be true and all men a liar. And, you know, cast your stones wherever you need to. But be careful with that. I don't want nobody to go to hell. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think anybody that ever lived was perfect. But then, like, bad people doing bad stuff, you know, 14 generations down the line, we got a compounded evil, you know. I mean, that even got on the boat with Noah. I mean, this dude wasn't off the boat very long. I don't, it probably says how long, I just don't know off the top of my head, before, you know, his kinfolk is uncovering his nakedness. And I've had that explained as somebody chopped his sack off, and then another one's like something about, you know, they took his woman or whatever. It's bad, it's evil, it's real bad evil. And I mean, it got down to 4 dudes and 4 chicks, and it was dude on dude evil to whatever degree. I do not know. But one of his boys uncovered his nakedness. So I mean, you know, here we are 2,000 years later, for sure. You know what I mean? I know it's more like 4,500, 5,000 years later from the flood. However, I am still not a monkey's uncle. And it's a reasonable service for me to show up on the right day and to walk in obedience, to walk in a right standing. You know what I mean? To recognize the signs, to study the law, to know what's right and what's wrong. You know what I mean? I need a clear definition of what is sin, and then how to approach that. And like this old man Virgil told me, he said, "Show me their friends, and I'll show you their future." Basically, and I can just about do the same thing with translations of the Bible. It's like, you read the Bible? Yeah. Which translation do you favor? And I can, you know, make stereotypical remarks based off of that and do some groupings and stuff like that. Now we got 57 translations. Well, we wind up with 57 groups. And then you throw in the human nature. I know something you don't know. Blah, 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 whatever. You know, jackass drunker that says, "I don't know, but I'm trying, and I ain't going to quit." It's got a certain, it's refreshing to a surprising number of people. You know, and our world with these devices and our social medias and all that, it creates an isolation, right? So we got like this invisible prison. The door's open. Addicted to it, like they don't want to get rid of it. You know what I mean? They'll throw out some conspiracy theory out there. They're like, Elon Musk is the devil, so they manipulated the weather so that when they rebuilt Appalachia, they'd have Starlink connections everywhere, so we wouldn't be able to hide in the mountains when the mark of the beast comes. Because there's a Wi-Fi network now in Appalachia. You see what I'm saying? And then the conspiracy is that they're doing that and finding resource and reason. And they perfected that in Afghanistan. You know, there's like the USA versus USSR. Both were literally headed by the deep state, which was, you know, pervert of the true church. You know, evil then went to rule and reign in different places in the earth, and then used the goodness as a disguise. You know, had two rival teams create a rivalry to develop and innovate and exercise technology, manpower, training, all this other kind of stuff. Ultimately, to try to fight Jesus when he comes back. And there's power in the name, since they want to take away Yeshua. They want to take away all this other stuff. They want to give you a concept of God, somehow bringing the Most High down a notch, and yet raising you up a notch, so you're egotistical, seated with Christ. Just because you're seated with Christ doesn't mean that you're the ultimate authority. You're still under authority. Christ is your advocate to the Father. So, like there's a throne and he's sitting on it. His enemies are his footstool. You're sitting there with him. But you're also his friend. You're also his bride. And you're also his slave. And it's all for right standing to the Father, and him and the Father is the same person, different persona, different presentation. They're, you got clouds, you got rain, you got ice, you got the ocean, there's fresh water, there's salt water, whatever, you know what I mean? It's water. You can describe it in a bunch of different ways. You get real technical and H2O all up in this thing, and get down to the minerals that need to be in the water so it's absorbable. Which brings me to another small caveat. An elder had an issue with the doctor where this doctor says your kidneys are failing, you need to drink water. This other doctor says your diabetes complications means that you're retaining water. We're going to put you on this water pill and do not drink water. Okay, and then in the baby section at Walmart, the baby water that's pure osmosis that has nothing. It's basically you boil water, catch the steam, put the lid sideways where it drip back over here, or you can take a smaller pot, like get your big pot and then get a littler one, turn the lid on that little one upside down, put it inside there, and then put the big lid upside down on the big pot. And then, because the lids are a cone, if the cone's upside down, it'll make a drip point in the middle. And then because the little lid is inside of it, it'll float on top of the water. So now as you do a low boil, the steam will collect, run down and drip into the secondary. But then you can, drink the water once it cools off or whatever. You can dig it out, dump it, whatever type of deal. But you'll have water that has no minerals. Therefore, it's not going to absorb. Your body can't absorb it. It'll go in one end and out the other, right? Which is great for flushing your kidneys. And also, if you're not absorbing the water, it doesn't mess with your water pill needs. So you can satisfy the recommendations of both doctors. Flushing the kidneys out and yet not retaining water because the water's not retainable. And the water to do that, oddly enough, in our crazy world, is the water that they use to mix baby formula. So the baby grade water that has no minerals is what you would buy in that situation. Modern times require modern solutions. Anyway, so even making this video is reasonable service. And in the same way that you might be an elder that just figured out how to, not die. You heard that right here, right now. Approximately 35 minutes into this video saying this thing, but if you didn't find value or whatever and interact with me to this point, God would have made another way for you to figure it out. I'm thoroughly confident, I'm nobody special, but because you took the time, the interaction. You took 35 minutes out of your day to listen to this stuff. Have a little bit of entertainment. Also get a little, knowledge. Spread it around a little bit. You know what I mean? What Forrest Gump's mama said, you only need so much money. The rest of it's for spreading around. Well, I only need so many business ideas. But I should spread the rest of it around. You know what I mean? Money's just one thing. It's measurable. You know what I mean? But how much measure is there for wisdom, intelligence, compassion, instruction manuals, living for God for dummies, you know what I mean, or whatever. That whole For Dummies series of books. Like, can you read? Can you read? Like, can you read? I never thought that I had to say that in America, but it's a good question. There were several delays, had a bunch of stuff, was tired when I got close to the elders, did not get good sleep, got up, did the things with them, made the run, checked with the comms, giant delay because of a fatality accident on 70, 18 miles, took me an hour and a half, finally got there, checked out the truck real good, went inside, proceeded to have a Bible study for 5 hours, and woke up with the boss man calling this morning talking about we're working on scheduling a backhaul type of deal. When are you going to be in Rhode Island? That's what I woke up to on 3-4 hours of sleep. Had a tremendous witness, and I think I actually was in a chapel preaching literally for 2 hours last night to 3 people. Played a very intense, and then when I left out this morning, 2 of the guys was out there and I gave them Bibles, and those guys went to bed earlier, we were like that, and then me and this other guy stayed up so long that the leader of the outfit, I ended up giving him word. And then the other guy, I had a long word with him and everything like that, and all this stuff. And all that I ministered to them, literally every bit of it, was for self-reflection for this Sabbath. Like, died, struggles in my life as I delivered the word to the other people. I was like choking on the words because I'm guilty too, kind of deal. You know what I'm saying? And I was able to say, hey, I'm guilty of this too. And the elder running the place is like 90s for real and solid Christian. And he's kind of scolded his wife. And she's old and everything like that. So I had to approach it like, hey man, look, I made a promise to God I would speak up on his behalf, and I approached it that way, and very difficult, and then I was like, you're the bride of Christ and everything, and I went to Ephesians 5, and how the wife respect the husband, but the husband be kind, gentle, and loving to the wife. But we're talking about the church and everything, and I'm like, so in my BS, God gives me these gentle rebukes, and it's in kindness and in love that he kind of, paddles my butt when I need it type of deal and everything. But he does that gently, and then like I'm the wife in this thing, so I'm supposed to respect that, right? So I'm respecting God, and he's being kind and gentle, merciful, and loving towards me. And I'm like, you gotta quit being a dick to your wife, dude. It ain't right for you to talk to her like that. And the whole time I'm saying this, I'm just like, I hope this guy doesn't throw me off the property and everything. I mean, this guy is an elder, and like, yeah, it was a big deal, a real big deal. And then God, this is so embarrassing. But document the journey, right? Then the other guy, he had a problem with lust, and I'm telling him how to get over the lust and stuff like that or whatever, and being a truck driver. He was a truck driver for 35 years. His story was worse than mine, and, we'll leave it anonymous for his sake. But for me, I don't have a problem with hookers because that shit's gross. That's not my thing at all. Like the average woman that is nowhere near a hooker, I still kind of like, she'll sleep with me, she'll sleep with anybody, right? Because I have low self-esteem about the way I look. And, yeah. So anyway, I've always seen myself as less than. Getting made fun of or whatever like that. It's just like, I always just, I'm nobody type of deal. And anyway, but like, I never had a problem looking at a Playboy magazine. You know what I mean? As far as like being disgusted, it was quite the opposite actually. I was just looking at a picture, type of deal. So I've struggled my whole life with, like, seeing women, you know what I mean, as an object type of deal. It's like I'll see a dude, and within half a second, I'm like, this is my strategy to fight this guy, and I assess whether or not I should fight this guy physically, mentally, spiritually, whatever. It's about half a second in my head. Can I fight this dude? Well, how can I win against this dude? It's never really an option to lose. But I'm not stupid, so I'm like, this guy will probably beat me to death. So I should make him my friend, and if he's on my team, then if someone tries to beat me to death, this guy will have my back. Well, I instantly recognize breed stock. You know what I mean? Like how tall and shapely and all this kind of stuff like that. Attractive face, whatever. You know what I mean? And then face it, in today's age with yoga pants, like, I have literally had to tell women to put some clothes on at the church house. And then like, hey, if you want to go show everybody your nakedness without a butt crack, because that's what it looks like to me. It just looks like a naked person that does not have a butt crack. You know what I mean? That's what it is. So ladies, men, you're women. When the dudes are at Home Depot and they see your females in stretchy pants, they see the complete nakedness except for the crack. That's it. That's what's going on, and that's highly attractive. Do you want your wife, your mom, your children, your grandmother wearing stretchy pants, and then some other pervert person looking at them and saying, okay, I know every crevice of that lower half of human. You know what I mean? Because that's what's actually happened. And that's like a giant no-no in my book. Especially if you go to church. Like, quit wearing stretchy pants to church and then getting up and walking across the thing to go use the bathroom and then walking back. I'm at the back of the thing and I watch every dude's head just follow the cheeks and follow the cheeks back. And the third time she goes to the bathroom, wherever else like that, you know what I mean? So after the fact, I'm sitting there talking to Potter. I'm like, what the hell's up with that, man? And he's like, oh, does that all the time, whatever like that. That's her husband right there. So I go over to this guy and say, now, this is going to be hard to hear. And you're probably going to want to whoop my ass more than likely. But I promise God that if I say something, I'd say something, and I wouldn't be afraid to speak on his behalf. Now, I personally am a married man, and I've had to rebuke the women in my home, especially about going to church. But you know, I mean, like we don't have to be like, you know, your skirt has to touch your ankle type of thing, you know what I mean, or whatever else like that. You know, where's the line? I'm not discussing that. We all know yoga pants, mid-sermon, walking around, you know, walks up in front of the pulpit wearing yoga pants and stops to tie her shoes. You are disrupting the word. You know what I mean? Well, I didn't say that to him. I'm just saying that right now to you. But I told the guy, I said, hey, as a father and a dad or whatever, I have to tell my kids, hey, you cannot come in here like this. And then I proceeded to say, dude, your old lady got up and walked in front of everybody. I'm at the back, dude. I watched every dude in here just watch the cheeks. I said half of them was like this in time with her butt cheeks flexing. That's what's happening during the service. They didn't hear what the preacher said that might save their life, but they know every crevice. You might want to check that situation. And this dude, I mean, he's got Cherokee Indian. I mean, and this dude, I mean, sort of. Yeah. 100 years ago, to define this dude, you would use the word brave. He is an Indian brave. So I'm talking to this dude, and I just see this guy. He's just like, and he's getting battered with a wet hen. And anyway, so he goes on about his business or whatever like that, and then me and Barnes over there talking or whatever, and then, you know, we wait and let everybody else go, you know, because like for some reason, like they can't get out of the parking lot fast enough. And this dude comes driving by, and his wife is sitting in the car like, you know what I mean? And as they're driving by, she looks over at us or whatever like that. We're just like, hey, we're just like, hey. What do you do? You know, it's like awkward. Anyway, so last night, the leader of the thing, the guy, is talking crazy to his wife, and I got to rebuke him about it. Trying to be nice and diplomatic and everything. It was definitely not a knife hand moment. And, but I got to do what I got to do, right? So I explained to him, you know, what I promised God and everything like that, and I talked to him. And towards the end of it, I was like, you know, you got to be kind and gentle to your wife. And, you know, I said, this is hard for me to tell you. You know what I mean? And it was. You know what I mean? And he says, I know that was hard to say. You know what I mean? And it just clicked so much. It was such a teachable moment. And, you know, the diplomacy, the conviction of I need to quit being a dick to my wife. You know what I mean? I need to quit being such an asshole to my wife, even though I keep telling her the same thing, keep telling her the same thing, keep telling her the same thing, or whatever. And then, like, thinking about it now, and like slightly after that, it's like, is she, you know, the dude was talking to her like that because he's frustrated, but she had dementia, right? And I'm like, oh, snap. What if God showed me what it's going to be like to deal with a person with dementia in my family? What if that's part of the preparation? Because generally, if God has me do something, I'll experience it umpteen times before I realize what's going on. I'll tell somebody else how to fix it. Because I don't listen for shit. And actually, Rando the Crazy was standing out there, and I kept trying to explain to him, you don't listen, you keep telling everybody all this stuff, and your demeanor is that of a crazy person. You know what I mean? So the third time I rebuked his demeanor, and he continued to talk real fast and explain to me the global cabal, which, I mean, I actually didn't disagree with the guy, to be honest with you, but he himself said, I said, Dave, you look crazy. He said, I am crazy. I was like, okay, I believe you. You are not a hypocrite. It shows. Hey, I believe you. one time I told the boss, I was like, look, man, I want to move freight more than you do. And he's like, I believe you. I was basically like, I was telling my boss to get his shit together. This dude's like international businessman. I'm like, telling him how it is. And anyway, terrible delivery and time. But the shock and awe factor is useful. You know, like one time, me and my wife had been screaming at each other in the yard. And I was like, it's not a sin to rebuke my family when they're out of line or whatever. You know what I mean? And of course, the neighbors freak out and call the cops. So I go in the house and I watch my security system and watch to see how the cops will approach. And like the Google, like if you have my address and you're like, you know, navigate to say an address, it won't take you to the right spot. And I didn't do that. I didn't set that up. That's just like the joys of Texas, right? And it's very difficult to tell. And my mailbox is on the other side of the road. So they always go to the wrong mailbox or the wrong driveway or whatever. And then the actual mailbox, my property has two addresses. And the mailbox only says one. And it's not the same as what my ID says. So it's like I'm wide open in the open, yet somewhat camouflaged to the police. But not to the county assessor. The county assessor knows exactly where everything's at, and they have the blueprints of my house when it was built, not the way it is now. My house and my shop are different now. There's layers of security. Anyway, so I go in there and I watch the cops, and then as he gets to the door or whatever like that, I'm sitting there. So I put it on like this cowboy giving advice or whatever on the YouTube thing, on the TV. He's like, hey, how's it going? I was like, I'm just sitting here. What are you doing? And he's like, I'm sitting there putting my boots on. He's like, why are you putting your boots on? I was like, well, you're taking me to jail. I'll have to walk home when I get out, so I might as well have my boots on. He said, well, why am I taking you to jail? I said, I don't know. Why can't I just go to sleep and everybody leave me the fuck alone? And the cop's like, good question. You know what I mean? And I got the cowboy guy on TV, and he's like, you know, giving all this sage advice and everything, kind of weird shit. And I'm just sitting there all chill or whatever. But what he didn't realize is like he was on a webcam type situation. They all stopped and looked right at the fake camera because I got a fake camera system. That way, if somebody tries to disable the system, you know, you give them something to hit. That way, they think that they're getting away with it. Then you can see what they're really going to do. And then you can watch that while you're in the truck driving down the road, right, on that device. And then you got the closed circuit on the loop that you bought from the 1980s gas station. You know what I mean? So I found this gas station, and they had the whole setup with the old school, with the VHS looping and all that kind of stuff. And when I got that, I thought, and DVDs were just coming out. And I thought to myself, well, you know, this will go the way of the 8-track. You know what I mean? So I bought 4 cases of VHS tapes, right? And this is in the 90s. Like, I've been, like, borderline paranoid schizophrenic for freaking ever. You know what I mean? Like, I was raised at the end of the Trail of Tears. I don't think people understand what it... Like, imagine that you're 3 years old, and you're standing there, and you're watching your dad, the Vietnam veteran, talk to the neighbor, the full-blood Cherokee Indian. And they have their elders there. So I'm like the great-great-grandson in comparison to the people in the circle, and they're talking about don't trust the government. Do not sign the treaty. It's a trap. They're going to steal your land no matter what. Take them for all you can get and expect them to come back and run you off the land regardless, but tie it up in court long enough to run out the clock. Whatever, you know what I mean? Oh, man. Don't give them an inch. Resist every step of the way. You know what I mean? Just dig in. Just sew up like a hog in a puddle of mud. You know, Waco, we ain't coming out. Anyway, I think I made this too long. A reasonable service to the kingdom. I mean, you can find yourself in very pleasant circumstances, and you need to cherish that. The days of puppies and kittens. And then, you're going to have to slay a dragon every now and then. So, you might want to study on that, spar, practice, whatever. And last night I was able to talk to these guys. I just asked real basic, simple questions at which they stumbled. You know what I mean? Or they gave a simple one-liner answer, thinking that's what I was looking for. But then I'm like, is that the fullness? Who is Jesus? Is that everything he is? Is there more? And, that's such an open-ended question. You know what I mean? And the difference between a question and a statement, you know what I mean? So like that game show Jeopardy, where they had the answer in the form of a question. This is Jesus. Who is my Savior? Whatever, you know what I mean? So this question, kind of like that, but it's kind of like I'm going to inform you by asking you what you actually know about the Word of God. That way you will go back and look at it. Because the goal is to read the Bible and let the Word be your teacher. That is your reasonable service. And then along the way, you stop and help somebody with a flat tire. And then, like, if there's a disaster and you show up and you're like, the government ain't doing nothing, blah, blah. We got to do it all. Well, the government's the away team. They go yonder and blow shit up. Everything they touch turns to shit. So if the government sends people into a foreign country, the foreign country will rapidly experience dramatic problems. So you don't want, like, how independent do you want to be? You know what I mean? So, like, if you're on a reservation or a Cherokee Nation or a Choctaw Nation or whatever else like that, you can't get government funds to fix the road. But they're not coming over there saying that you got to be a, DEI compliance and blah, blah, whatever. You know what I mean? You're not registered on Dun and Bradstreet, so you're not, you're yourself. You're not some fictitious evil entity in the earth. You know what I mean? It's like, come out of her, my people. Well, how far are you getting out of her if you have an EIN number attached to your LLC? You know what I mean? Like you have conjured an entity, and you're wielding it for good or bad or whatever. You know what I mean? Not saying the intent, not saying the produce, but you're definitely part of the system. I mean, you have not came out. You know, if you're not just caveman style, there was a guy on the internet. I guess everybody kept saying, if this is true, why are you on the internet? But there was a guy on there, and he was like, quit your job, sell your house, and just live like a vagrant. You know what I mean? Hey, come out of her, my people, like that. You know what I mean? And I was like, he's got a point, because I got out of jail, okay? I've had a lot of experiences. So it gives me a different summation of what's up in the world. So when I got out, like, I worked and everything like that, but I'm like, man, I like slept on the steps of a church one night, and, I had a bunch of adventures. But I was pretty much, doing this homeless thing. But I knew I was supposed to take the songs to the church. And, like, I walked past friends and kinfolks' houses that I totally could have just been like, can I have dinner? And they'd be like, of course you can have dinner. Here's a bedroom. There's a truck to drive. Do your thing. Whatever. You know what I mean? They'd just prop me right up. That ain't what God told me to do. God's like, walk over here and crawl through the window of this church and sleep on the pew. While you're there, find a cup to put in your backpack so you can drink out of the creek. That really happened. And I left the song, left a little note. hey, sorry, I crawled in through the window where your air conditioner was. I ate some food out of your refrigerator and everything, but I'm doing this in service to God because He told me to bring you these songs. And here's 18 copies, 18 handwritten copies of songs I heard in my head while I was in prison, in county jails, whatever, locked up, a prisoner. Anyway, so delivery made. Anyway. Yeah, and within a month, one guy gave me a house. He's like, well, this is your house now. And I'm like, are you serious? You know what I mean? But it was in the process of being roofed and remodeled and all that. So the first day in the house, a stack of drywall was my bed. Well, later I broke my leg off and everything like that. And then, we finished out the house, yada, yada, went on about my business. Well, I've had 2, 3, 4. I've had 7 houses given to me for the purpose of use. Okay? And then I've given houses away for purposes of use. And none of this stuff, except for when I went to Texas, none of this stuff had a paper trail at all. Everything was, a handshake deal type of thing. We didn't hold up our sandal or anything like that. But it was looking in the eye and, hey, I'll deliver. And then it came through type of deal. You know what I mean? The way it should be. Like, I didn't know there was another way. It's kind of like we get back to the disaster relief. Do you want the government involved? No. Like buying a house. Do you want the bank involved? No. How these people talking about a 5% mortgage and then they're paying payments that total over the course of 30 years twice the price of the house. Sometimes 4 times as much as the house. Depends on how they write it up. And then they tell you it's 5%. Like they told me mine's 2.5. I did the numbers. What I borrowed, the payments as scheduled, I'll pay $63,000 in interest. And they call that 2.5%. Well, the mortgage number was $306,000. So what percentage of 300 is 63? You know what I'm saying? It's not 2.5. They're full of shit. And I do my own escrow. So it has nothing to do with the price of insurance and upkeep on the home and all that kind of stuff. Taxes, which I'm fixing to pay $6,500 in tax. And it's $4,000 and something for my insurance. You know what I mean? So when this place is paid off, if there's no inflation in the next 12 years, I had to pay the state of Texas basically $1,000 a month rent on the house that I owned. You know what I mean? Which is all just a giant trap. You know what I mean? Because like I'm sitting in the truck and there's a bed right back there. I don't even pay for gas in this thing. You know what I mean? So I'm free. I got free use. You just drive down the road, talk to you good folk, get some Bibles, go and do whatever. You know what I'm saying? Probably gonna stop and buy some steak today. You know what I'm saying? Cook it up or whatever. Got my little cooker, my pot and everything like that. And I'll eat like a king tonight, have leftovers all day tomorrow, observing the Sabbath, because today is Friday, the 11th, October 11th. So, you know what I mean? So my house is a trap. My wife likes it. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm going to do all this stuff and come up with $4,500 a month just to have a house because my wife is emotionally attached to that piece of property, man, I mean, it's nice, don't get me wrong. I don't get to live there because I'm a debt slave. You know, they say you can't serve God and money at the same time, but I need enough money to keep my wife secure, and that's reasonable service. Well, I paid the electric bill and I paid the rent. Yeah, so what? So what? Like, that's just reasonable service. You know what I mean? And that's how you can keep your humility out here. You You know what I mean? You go out, you give somebody a Bible for them, their wife and kids, instruct them on how to have a proper Bible study around the table and stuff like that. Be like, hey, bud, do whatever works for you. But I have found that XYZ produces ABC in my life. So I'm giving a testimony, which is overcoming the world. I'm talking about the blood of the Lamb. And if they kill me, great. Because the new earth and God's presence is better than everything I can imagine. I cannot exaggerate. I cannot sit here and just cook up a story about how good and how great the yonder is that it's not impossible to exaggerate. Like, I don't have the capacity to imagine everything that I imagine. It's better than that. Everything I read points out that it's better than that. Especially like the 12 gates of the New Jerusalem, and those are living stones, like the stones of the ephod. Under pure light, the colors that those stones give off. And then interestingly, the gemstones that are called dead stones, because when you shine that same pure light through them, darkness comes out. And the 12 of the ephod, basically living rainbows come out under pure light. So you got the gate of this thing that's made out of a gemstone that when it the light that we see is refracting, it is bouncing. So it's radiating, the sun is radiating, and the different frequencies are the different colors. That's where your spectrum's coming from. But the reason why you don't need lights on inside your house during the daytime is because it is bouncing, it's reflecting. But when it's pure, it doesn't bounce. This is a terrible translation. But when you shine a pure light through the gemstones, you get this off-the-chart amazing rainbow-like living color. And it is, I can't exaggerate it. I can't articulate how cool it is. Because it's awesome. You know, it is completely awesome. Ridiculously amazing. So, that's just the gate. That's just the entryway. That's just walking through the door. You know? Anyways. So the liabilities and the trappings of the house. Okay, so, and then the enemy's like, I'm going to get this dude tied up in this mortgage. And be scared to lose his house and all this kind of stuff like that. Little does he know, I don't care about that. Right? Or maybe he does know, whatever. So he sounds me with a wife that's like oversensitive about it. I don't want to be homeless. Which, I mean, that's understandable. You know, I like pillows and like, you know, dry bedding. But it's not required. You know what I mean? And then we look at our current situation with the disaster in Appalachia. You know, we love you people and everything like that, but the disaster comes, it said that the judgment comes to the church first. Okay? So you guys are getting all these resources and stuff, and you're getting boots on the ground. This is life without modern convenience. No road, no utilities, get her done. And the rest of the country's rallying to come to you and to give you supplies and stuff. But if that happens nationwide, and nobody's coming, we don't have Amazon drop shipping because Amazon is then overrun by whatever. You know what I mean? If they you know, nuke everything and there's no electricity everywhere and no one is coming to help you, the people in Appalachia, like the hillbillies that really pray and stuff, and they're just all about Jesus, they got hit. And that's a grand mercy. Because they're able to open themselves up to the Bible, and they're able to get resources. And I mean, like, if you're in Dallas, Texas today, and I'm like, get right with Jesus and be prepared for no utilities. Everybody's like, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? If I'm in Asheville and I say something to the tune of, well, that guy just pulled right out in front of that other guy. He didn't even get going first. So if I go to Appalachia right now, and I'm like, you should get right with Jesus and be prepared to live off grid. Like everybody's like, yes, that's what we're doing. You know what I mean? And people are flocking there from all around. And then we get into this deal where Jesus' disciples see somebody else preaching or whatever, but he's chicken shit. And so they come over to Jesus. They're like, Jesus, they're preaching the gospel, but they're chicken shit one way or another. And he says, if they're talking good about us right now, they can't talk bad about us later. Either way, the gospel is preached. You know what I mean? So there's some of these people over there that they're volunteering and going into service, just putting on a show. They're hypocrites, right? And we know that. Okay? Now, don't look a gift horse in the mouth, according to Jesus. You know what I mean? If Yehu, the weirdo, shows up and he's just like, I will dig mud or whatever, hand him a shovel, dude. Like, go ahead. You know what I mean? But then if it's like, super wicked twist off, hey, I'm going to give you money, but it's got strings attached, go fuck yourself. But if it's, here's money with no strings attached, I don't care who you are. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the Hitler's descendants want to give me $1 billion that I can pour into the kingdom? I'm taking that $1 billion. And if they try to influence me or whatever else like that, like, I'm going to tell them up front. I'm like, if you think you're buying influence with me, if you think you're buying the kingdom or anything else like that, just keep your money. But if you hand me this money or whatever else like that, and then you want to scroll around and do this, that, or whatever like that, it won't be me that rebukes you. It'll be God. You know what I'm saying? So I just throw that out there up front. And then I talk about Jesus all the time, born and due to die. He'll draw in the good ones and run the bad ones off. So, like, I don't have a big problem with donation type stuff because I just keep it real. And then the people that know I can't be bought, they don't try to buy me like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not even trying. Like, they don't see the value. Like, I'm some hillbilly truck driver, some redneck with a crazy accent that says wild stuff, driving down the road talking about, I've been to places where they'll stab you to death over ramen noodles. You better get ready for Jesus. You know what I'm saying? There's an intelligence and a wisdom that is so layered in everything I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like, I watch these things sometimes, and as I'm talking, some of this stuff is so Holy Ghost. Like, it'll be like 2 weeks later, and it'll pop up as my thing's got autoplay or whatever. I'm driving down the road about to fall asleep, and it's me talking to me, and it's like, stay alert or whatever, It's not, take the next exit. Oh yeah, hey, I was supposed to take the next exit. It's not that, but it's like a general life lesson, and I needed to hear that. Okay, so in my witness to people last night at the place that gives me cases of Bibles to distribute around the country, I rebuked the leadership in a way that I need to live that out with my own wife. You know what I mean? Be kind and gentle. And then another guy, he was struggling with sin. And I told him how to get over it. And that's exactly what I need to do. You know what I mean? So there was this big, it was a 5-hour thing with a, walk back to the truck, consider it, and just, mind blown. If I practice what I preach, I will be complete lacking nothing. I like the sound of that. I want patience. I will let patience have its perfect work, and I will be complete lacking nothing. Wow. You know what I'm saying? And then I get hung up, I'm human and everything like that. And then I try to help the struggling human. And then I tell them, well, it's like this, it's like that. If you do this, it equals that. This, that, and this, righteous. And then it's like so clear that I have to deliver the message. And it's such a conviction that I have to walk the walk I'm talking. Because I come from a place where, you know what I mean? Like if you're talking Jesus all the time in the joint, yeah, like, you start slipping, yeah, it's your own kind that will do you. Like, the whites regulate the whites, the blacks regulate the blacks. There's so many blacks, there's divisions. And so there's various different gangs or whatever. But then you got the Indians. So the IBH, the Indian Brotherhood, they, in Oklahoma, they are not to be messed with because they are few. All gangs are for protection, by the way. It's organized military on a small scale. Their whole world is a prison. And there's different worlds, different yards, right? But it's just like micro Earth. So like you got geopolitics and then you got like gangs. You know, like you'll see where that guy said, I can rule a nation from incarceration. Yeah, like this guy has delegates on other yards. You know, that America's got embassies in different countries. You know what I mean? Like we have enforcers called the Navy. And there they got enforcers called Billy. Bubba. You better watch out for Bubba. Anyway, I'm going to get off here. All of this is reasonable service. You know what I mean? And you can have humor about it. You know, you can have fun. You know what I mean? You can have fun. You know what I mean? And as you're letting patience have its perfect work, you're going to feel the squeeze. You're going to feel the pinch. You know what I'm saying? You're going to feel that. You know what I mean? But God's going to show you exactly what you need to do. You know what you need to do because God told you what you need to do. Now, whether you're doing it or not is whether or not you're walking out reasonable service. So when I watch this video in a year, if I'm still blubbery fat, if I'm still looking at women in the wrong way or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Then, hey, you know what I mean? And that's the other thing too, like, one of the things I told that guy is like, hate the sin. You know what I mean? So when I see that woman in those leggings, especially in a church, I hate that, man. I hate that, because I know there ain't a young man in the room that ain't counting every hair. You know what I'm saying? So that pisses me off because that kid is being robbed from hearing the sermon. You know what I mean? And I gotta get emotional where I'm like, that's fucking bullshit. You know what I mean? And get mad. You know what I mean? When I see the leadership that's allowing, you know, to mutilate your child. You know what I mean? Like those Muslims was mutilating little girls where they couldn't feel nothing down yonder. And it was like 10, 12 years ago. And then now they're acting like it's okay to just completely emasculate a little boy. You know what I mean? They just ruin their reproduction. You know what I'm saying? And the leadership is so co-opted with that nonsense, right? And then they expect us to send our kids to fight and die in defense of mutilating genitalia. I mean, you got to be out of your mind. You got to be, I mean, seriously, you got to be out of your mind. I mean, just batshit crazy. No. It's my reasonable service to cut the head off the dragon. That's my reasonable service. It's my reasonable service to not tolerate stuff. I hate it. I hate that a child is being mutilated. I hate that. I hate that some doctor has been brainwashed, manipulated, co-opted, and hypnotized into thinking he's doing a service to mutilate an infant when obviously we use incubators to hatch eggs on such a mass scale that if you eat turkey for Thanksgiving, that started out in an incubator. I worked at this one place where the guy was on the AI crew, artificial insemination. His job was to reach in there, pull a chicken out, jack him off, catch the sperm so they could impregnate the hens in a totally clinical manner. And yes, we teased the shit out of that dude because he was jacking off chickens. Yeah. Anyway, jokes were made. That's your dinner, man. It's your dinner. There's like the whole, in Arkansas, there's like whole, science about raising chickens. It's a business. Like, I know things about a chicken house and automation and raising and lowering the nest boxes, water lines, feed lines, the curtains on the side, roll up from the bottom, drop down from the top, and do all that with like a cotton rope, 500 foot long, all that, you know what I mean? Which gave me great concepts for orphanages. And yeah, the same concept, just instead of roof, one-sided roof, that difference in rafter, basically, you have a self-sustaining orphanage. If I can do it with that building right there, with that building right there, that one right there, I can decide where to come in and go out. Cars come to the front, the short side's all strip mall, back side is warehouse. You know what I mean? So you're going to have fulfillment to your retail with a pallet jack instead of a semi-truck driving in a circle around L.A. Okay, how much pollution's in L.A. now? Because the semis are going to this warehouse, and they got a warehouse in the desert. You know what I mean? That they all go there instead of downtown LA. And then the warehouse that has offices, you know what I mean? So like you got office right here, and then the high side's all warehouse for that office, but that office handles fulfillment for that nail salon, that corner store way off yonder on the end, or Habib, bodega or whatever like that. And then you got a, office for this, office for that. Cut your hair, do your nails, get your teeth fixed. Strip mall, Dollar G, all right there. And then the back half is a warehouse. So you're getting a fulfillment center on the tall side, and then the bottom side is that. Now the investor has the block. You know what I mean? So if you develop that, and then all the cars pull into the front, and all the semis pull into the back. Dude, just look at Deerfield Beach, Florida. Look at how you got the city streets, and then you got the canals for the boats, and the way that's set up. Super basic. You pull in on the street, houses on both sides. You come from the ocean in a boat, houses on both sides. Alternate water, street, houses in the middle. Okay, you got trucks in the back, cars in the front, alternate buildings. I mean, dude, the building is short, pointed south in the northern hemisphere, and then it's tall at the exact angle appropriate for catching the sun from noon and being the peak. So that's your east to west measurement. Then your angle is straight to the sun based on your longitude. So you got your latitude and longitudinal, angles. And that's how you set it up. And you can literally do everything like that. You start off with orphanages, then go into commercial buildings, and then, do your waste management, your recycling stuff, you know what I mean? Go help somebody, turn the one tree fell through a house, now we turned it into 2x4s and built another house. But this house, with this goodness, it was the oak tree that fell through the other house that was made out of pine. So the building that we're going to build, it's going to be oak. And then we're going to roof it with solar as a 2-story house. And the floor of the second story will actually be a TPO roof. And then you can add whatever. Just use it as a substrate that's waterproof. And then now your whole upper level is an observation deck for your residentials. You know what I mean? So now your residentials and your commercials and all that, a city set up like that, it'll generate its own power. It will generate its own power. You know what I mean? I know all this stuff. I can set all this stuff up. For real. Change the whole earth. I prayed about it and everything like that. And stuff. And then more recently, this is like a decade of knowledge. Some learned, some received, all, in service of the King, which is reasonable. So,
in 2 miles, use the left 2 lanes to take the I-70 exit toward Dayton, I-65 North.
Because the Lord's like, what do you need? The whole point is to take over the earth for Jesus, right? 26 trillion with a T. Trillion. 26 trillion of reasonable service. Annual revenue, 26 trillion is what I came up with. Reasonable service. And I overestimate costs and underestimate profits. And I mean, nose to the grindstone, cross your eyes, cross your T's, dot your I's, write it down, write it down, write it down. Basic mathematics, 26 trillion. That's what's it. That's my reasonable service and contribution to the earth through decaffeinated coffee. And my wife was like, you gotta charge something for this, because wives are smarter than men. So I'm like, when I present these things, I'm like, if you get any growth from these things I say, my fee is 1%. That is my fee.
In half a mile, use the left 2 lanes to take the I-70 exit toward Dayton, I-65 North.
If a dime never shows up, that's because you robbed God, not me. For real. And I leave it all right there. And if the whole 26 trillion comes in tomorrow, I wouldn't be ready. That's why I'm having it.
Use the left 2 lanes to take the I-70 exit. Continue on I-70 for 1.5 miles.
A man said to me, if you're so smart, why ain't you rich? I said, how do you measure that? Well, I just stumbled at the moment because I was not as mature then as I am now. I hadn't had the time to think about it. But my response to that right now would be, what is your measurement of wealth? What's your measurement of wealth? Is it dollar bills? Is it lineage? Is it, you left your whatever in the earth? You know what I mean? Like, the earth was one way, then I was alive, and now it's a different way? Think of Elon Musk type of deal. You know what I mean? Well, that concludes our episode of Reasonable Service to the King. And the mission statement is take over the earth.
In half a mile, right? Keep left to continue on I-70 East. Follow signs for Dayton.
Some of this is meant as, and especially to be shared with the people of Appalachia. If you see this, share this with someone that is in dire straits in Appalachia that
Keep
needs to
left to
sit
continue
down
on
for an hour
I-70
and a half
East.
and listen to a good man's advice. And this is the advice. Read your Bible.
Continue on
Do what
I-70
God
East
wants
for
you to
6
do.
miles.
Okay? That's all. Everything else is up to Him. All we get is food and clothes. Everything else is extra. We're guaranteed food and clothes. Everything else is extra. You don't have to have the creature comforts of life. You don't have to have that. You know what I mean? And here's the thing. Go and do what He is telling you to go and do. There's no better option. It does not get better than that. It does not get better than that. And we see from Lazarus and the rich man in the New Testament the description of you had a nice, cushy, easy life here, and now you're in the fire, versus the horrific life here, and now you're in paradise. And that's the thing that plays out a few different ways. So the question is, in that moment, because that sounds messed up, right? It's like you're either going to suffer now or you're going to like burn in hell. You know what I mean? So what part of this suffering now is developing what it takes to be qualified for yonder being paradise versus hell? Hell no. Paradise, yes. Suffering here is you get to the end of yourself where you're like, God help me. And then He does. And you're like, wow. And then that, you start stacking those wow moments. And then before you know it, like a decade goes by and your level of wow and awesome is at a point where you're like, I have suffered so much, but I wouldn't give it up for nothing. I cherish the fact that I suffered. I know I can make it through. God will come through for me because He made it through this. That don't mean you ain't going to cry. Tears of joy, tears of sorrow. You're going to feel pain, blood, sweat, and tears. It's going to suck. But that's preparing. You know what I mean? And it's all part of it. And if you mess it up, welcome to the club. I don't know what picture of perfection you're looking at in me that would make you think that Hardway DeGraff did not fuck it up regularly. But I'm alive. I'm still here. And my people that are dead, and there's a lot of my people that are dead, I know where they're at. And that's where I'm going to. And the ones I'm nervous about, I'm like, God, can you have mercy? Pray for that mercy. Great Heavenly Father, God have mercy on these people. God, give me the words to give to these people that you have in here today to prove this whole earth for you. Give them the strength to walk it out until the yonder comes. Let them have a smile today and some possum soup. Your stew of loving goodness. God, I pray that they find your word and good spices. I pray, Lord, that the people that are helping in Appalachia will go home with a newfound understanding of you. Lord, I pray for homes for the ones that want to leave Appalachia. Even if it's just for the moment, to come back when it's not, freezing cold in the winter. And the wisdom to know what they should do. Lord, I pray for their soul, for their mind, their body, their emotions. I just pray for all those in mourning right now, because it's overwhelming right now. And Lord, I just pray that you would give them comfort and peace. And I pray, Lord, that you will make them champions, that when the rest of the United States is dealing with no utilities, that these people will go into the other places and share lessons learned. I thank you that you're taking care of their everything right now. And I thank you that you're providing for them. And to them, Lord, I thank you for them. I thank you that I recognize their suffering, and Lord, I pray that you give me the ability to not let it go to waste.
In half a mile, keep left to stay on I-70 East.
I don't want to waste my suffering. I don't want to waste their suffering. I want to glean all the lessons. Lord, I pray that the situation that's going down there now will spawn a herd of your people that will set up and establish.
Keep left to stay on I-70 East.
If the government's in the way and the kinfolk shows up anywhere USA,
continue on I-70 East for 115 miles.
Amongst the kinfolk to, pass go, collect $200 and get her done. I pray that the pass go, collect $200 club would be enacted in the United States. The handshake militia, the kinfolk, the division of We Pray in Jesus' name, and the airstrike of Grandma's Praying, HEIR strike, task force be in full effect. I pray that you give them the words to pray. I thank you that my wife stays up all night praying for the kinfolk and for the brethren. I pray, Lord, that you will remove the enemy's attacks upon her and give me the loving kindness in my frustration, in my hurt, in my pain, in my impatience. Give me patience to be kind and gentle to my wife. Cleanse me, Lord, from my sin. Teach me to hate sin. Teach me to hate evil ways. Bless me with the Holy Ghost ass whooping and extreme conviction if I step out of line in the slightest jot or tittle. Lord, I just pray that you give me the words for these things so that your will be done. Because I can't do it, Lord. I can't do it. I don't know anybody to do it. You're all we got. You're more than enough. And I thank you that we know that we win. I read the back of the book, Lord. I thank you so much for the last 2 chapters of Revelation and the first 3. It is awesome. And I just pray, Lord, that you give these people Revelation. Just rev it up. 1, 2, 3. And, 20, the last 2. The last 2. First 3 and last 2. Revelation. Lord, I just pray that your presence be with these people. And I love you, Lord. I love you. I love you. Thank you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Okay, y'all. Rock Hill, get her done. Keep a stiff upper lip. Hey, go get them. Back to you, folks. This has been another episode. Skip Opotamus, your roving reporter here at Chicken Little News. Oh, man. You're going to make it. It's going to be all right. For real. Hey, seriously, for real. You're going to make it.